Hello, everybody, and welcome to yet another session in the Apex Office as JAPAC series. In today's session, titled Building Content Apps with WebCenter Content and Apex, we are going to see how you can integrate your Apex app with WebCenter Content. So, to show today's demo, we have Mandar Thengze, who is the Senior Director of Product Management for WebCenter Content. He's joined by Parikshit Kisti and Senthil Kumar Chinnappa, who will be assisting him in showcasing the demo of how easily you can integrate Apex with Web Center content. So without further ado, I would like to hand it over to Mandar.
Thank you, Apurva. Thanks for making me part of this PM office hours, and I hope we make it interesting for the Apex folks over here. So, like Apurva had shared, we have along with me today Parikshit, who leads our engineering team, and we have Senthil as well, who is going to do, in fact, a deep dive on the demo that we are going to do. But before we go through the demo, as usual, we have to talk little bit on setting up the context. So I have few slides. I'm not going to take a lot of time. Yeah, this is the agenda for today. So I'm going to briefly cover what is Web Center content. I believe you are surely experts in Apex or have a good understanding of Apex. I wanted to give at least some basic understanding of Web Center content because the topic today is about these two coming together. So I want to set the context of where Web Center content comes into picture. I will then get into the demo to show how Apex and Web Center content creates more value for customer and something interesting comes out of it when they come together. Then we have Senthil to take us through the whole journey and how the whole app gets built. And in between any time, please feel free to ask questions. So we have got Parikshit here as well as whenever I'm done, I am there to kind of respond to questions. But we do have some time left for Q&A. But I believe you should not wait. Whenever you have questions, please put it on the Q&A panel. So let me get started. So yeah, so I'm going to briefly talk about Web Center content. And if we have to talk about Web Center content, you need to know why Web Center content is important to organizations even now. So Web Center content has a very long journey. It's been there for nearly 20 years and growing in terms of capabilities, in terms of relevance. And the reason behind that is content itself grows. There are complexities, there are infrastructure complexities, functional complexities, and if you see documents or content are part of mostly say 80 to 90% of processes. And not all documents gets into an application or ERP. Many documents lie around or they are into different repositories. And so there are so many questions in employees' mind, which is the latest document, I don't have access, how to get access, so many of it, and their management becomes really important. And that's where Web Center content plays a big role in simplifying these aspects of document management. And there are various use cases. I'm kind of putting primarily these four places where Web Center content has been very useful for customers. Typical document management use cases where collaboratively content is getting created, reviewed, approved, and then is made available for the whole organization in various forms, like say policy creations and then policy being made available for everyone. And now the next requirement is how do these policies become useful when you are doing a transaction. So you have a policy about expense. How does it make sure that when you are actually going through the expense process, that policy is applied and any change gets reflected in the processes or used as part of the process alert. So this is the next level requirements. And process and content management is where again Web Center content plays a role, where during the part of process documents are involved, and how do you make it easy for making document management part of a process which is maybe lying in ERP, which is not in your application, it's in a third party application, and you can do such integrations as well. Records management is more for compliance requirement. Compliances are required in industries like public sector industry, banking, pharma, where you require audits, where there are some regulatory requirements that you need to keep the document for 7 years or 5 years, and then there could be audits where you have to show them. So these are places where it becomes really useful. And then finally, as a document hub, where it becomes like a central repository for all your applications. So one place to define your security, one place to define how these different applications will access these documents, and much more streamlined. And how it is possible to do all of these use cases because of the underlying infrastructure capability that Web Center Content provides to deliver these use cases. So whether it is access control, transformations of documents from, say, Word to PDF, or images into different formats, annotations, notifications on content ingestion, and many more things. So this is very high level about what Web Center Content provides. It's can sit on OCI infrastructure, and we do have a marketplace way of setting up the whole infrastructure very quickly. Or you can set it up on premise, which has been the way people have been using it for really long time. And it takes advantage of database, object storage, in if it is in OCI. The content then can be interfaced into any of these applications. We have out-of-box connectors, or the topic of today is Apex. And so you can, using REST APIs, web services, interface into Apex app as well. We do have VBCS way of connecting because it also kind of have capability to consume REST services, so it could be VBCS as well. But yeah, so this is in I would say very high level summary of why Web Center Content is used by enterprises. Now you must be wondering, why should I use it with Apex? Okay, no, let's go first a little more deeper into the block diagram and architecture of Web Center Content. What does it comprise of? So this is basically the block diagram on OCI, because that's where we are going to focus today. So Web Center Content on OCI comes pre-integrated with Apex so that it can act like a low-code content app platform for you. And these are capabilities that are kind of made part of to address various use cases. So digital asset management is a use case in itself, document processing, management, records management. These are areas, if you do not have a background on content management and document management, you may not really kind of quickly get it. But this is just a high level understanding for you that there are various capabilities that Web Center Content brings in. And it comes pre-integrated with OCI services like IAM, OpenSearch, Workflow, PA service, OML, Gen AI services, Apex, like I said. And so now it becomes really easy to interface it on Fusion apps. It has some nice way and easy way to integrate with Fusion apps, and Apex is what we are going to talk about, as well as other ERP. It sits on the new release of Web Center Content, which is 14.12, takes advantage of 23 AI, and we are going to talk a lot about it and how does it take advantage, object storage, all the OCI infrastructure. And the whole provisioning experience has been really simplified. You can, in matter of say an hour or so, can provision Web Center Content quickly. It's a wizard driven way of provisioning. Once you provision, you get something like this topology on the OCI infrastructure. So you go to marketplace, search for Web Center, select Web Center Content, fill up the wizard, and you will be able to provision. You can select the quick start option. That's the most easy option to provision, and you can get Web Center Content very easily. Yeah, so this was about Web Center Content. Now let's go into a little bit of Apex and Web Center Content. Why would you use Web Center and Apex together, right? I mean, Apex has such a great capability to building nice applications. Why would you want Web Center Content in between for your app building? And the reason is, like I said, these applications of Web Center Content alone generally is not a solution for all problems. It needs to be part of either an app, either it gets integrated with some existing app. So Web Center Content completes the solution. So here with Apex, we are going to show how RFP app or RFP solution is completed with Web Center Content, and how Web Center Content makes it easy for the Apex person or Apex developer to create app focusing only on the functional aspect and not really getting into the content management aspect of it. So with Apex, you get the accelerated app development because that's what the community uses Apex for, and you can be focused around creating quick apps by focusing on the functional requirements. And Web Center Content provides you all the content management services. And this is how for an Apex developer it would be like everything becomes services, content services for you. consume it through APIs, and build your app. And like I said, it also provides Gen AI services for you. So you do surely have ways for building your Gen AI application. But with Web Center content, you can really simplify, and we'll talk about it, how in context you can get things in the Apex app and kind of improve the whole experience. And finally, Apex is for experience delivery. Right? Web Center content has been there for more than 20 years doing content management. So let's get the strength of both the platform together. So Apex is great in experience delivery. Web Center content brings the content management. And so the together becomes a powerful combination for building apps, content apps for sure. So this is at a conceptual level on why Apex and Web Center content makes sense and why you should use Web Center content with Apex. I will go a little bit on the feature aspects also, which you will not end up like building all of these in Apex, right? So there are so many capabilities. These are some sample ones which are required as part of your document flow. So customers would have these kind of requirements. So example, you have ingested a document in Apex, but you also want to share it out to someone externally who doesn't have an Apex access. Or you have to do annotations and redactions so that you can mark certain area or hide certain area of a document and as part of the process so that it is not completely visible for the user. You want to do integration, so Fusion Apps integrations or ERP integration, very lightweight integration where from Apex you are ingested the document, but it needs to be surfaced on through a say FA. And so that gets simplified if you have it with Web Center content. Office 365 integration, which is again out of box available. Desktop sync, so that you are able to have the document sync in sync with your in your desktop itself. Supporting 500 file types. So it is not just a repository where you can dump document, you can view them as well. And it supports 500 different file types. So without requiring an editor or a client version of that viewing file, so example, Photoshop file, you can directly view it in the browser itself. And so these are some of the other advantages that you get. And then finally, access control. And specifically because we are going to get into Gen AI related use case, it becomes very much important that the Gen AI service doesn't provide information for the user who doesn't have access to that document. And that becomes really easy when you are using, and it can be user level, group level, role level. So all of that definition becomes really easy. And finally, audit and compliance, which is again out of box reporting available, who has access, all of those information is available with the repository. So that's basically just wanted to give context here for who are Apex guys to know why Web Center content and Apex make sense. So with that, I am going to now get into the demo. So before I get into the demo, I just want to show you what is the demo about. So like I said, this is about an RFP app that we have created, a sample app representing an RFP process. And so the way it starts is generally how RFPs are get like how the sales guys get an RFP. He gets it from a customer through an email. And so an organization or a customer is sending email to the sales rep, and then from there, he is using the Outlook WebCenter Outlook plugin to push the document into the repository. So without really losing the context, he is able to push. Now, once it's in the repository, the action starts and where the backend processes and makes sure that it extracts the relevant stuff. And so now when the sales rep gets into the app, which has been created using Apex, he is now ready to start becoming more productive. So, in fact, we do have today, if you go to Live Lab, Oracle Live Lab, and search for Web Center content, you will see a lab which is about content, Apex with content management, Web Center content management. And that app today is not integrated with Gen AI, but it has a similar flow in place where all that I'm talking about, the dashed lines, are not part of it. And you can go through that flow and you will realize that this system is not giving any help to the user. The user has to make sure that he reads the document, he fills up a form, he picks up and makes sure that he is putting the right information into section. Whereas now with this new version that we are going to have, you will see the advantages in terms of productivity improvement in each user's interaction with the system. So the sales rep now, when he goes into the app, he can have a conversation with the RFP document and he can ask questions and get what are the requirements. And generally, sales reps will not be really going through the document. So this becomes really useful for him. He is able to populate the form where when he is ingesting the RFP so that the request starts and a workflow gets triggered. And then he is basically able to get response requirements as well. Like, so what happens in an RFP, there is an expectation on what the response should consist of. So every RFP has something different asked, and the system is now able to extract that and may present it to the sales guy. So that is again some big help to make sure that the response has those points in place. And then the workflow gets triggered. Basically, he does all of this, he submits it, and it triggers the workflow. The workflow has various sections which he has selected based on the prerequisite that was shared. So currently we have two users here as part of the workflow. We have a technical architect and finance person nearly doing same kind of work. So the technical architect gets a notification. So he now starts, and as if you have done the RFP response, generally you don't want to start from scratch. You would want to see what has been the previous work done in the similar space. Like people have responded to RFPs before, how can I reuse? And that is where again the system is going to be very helpful. The Gen AI capabilities become really useful here to extract information and then reuse in the RFP. And that's basically what both of these users are going to do. So they are going to query, ask, and there is a lot of action that is happening behind the scene. There is semantic search, there is conversation search, there is conversation on multiple documents. All of it is happening in backend and helping the user to get the right information and be really uh, much more responsive and fast in his actions. So then the template basically is downloaded. They based on the information he is filling the template, uploading it, and closing his task. So each user is going to do the same, and the sales rep finally gets all the sections, documents, and going to combine together to create a response document. So he's going to merge all of these documents which are filled by these users to create a composite, response. Now, one more thing which I have not represented, which I'm going to talk in the demo, is there is an other section. So what happens is generally technical section or technical solution section, pricing section are expected for any RFP, but there are expectations which may not be common. So someone might be asking for references, and you now need to contact reference team. So we have another section where how that off-track communication can happen, and the sales guy can get the information in context, and then how he can get it all together to finally merge and create a response document. So that is the whole demo about. It's slightly, I would say, taking time, like it will take 20 minutes or so. So just hold on and be patient to go through the whole flow here. So let me get started. So yeah, so like I said, email has come from your customer. The email describes the requirement, but you are interested in the RFP. So you are a sales guy, and so he has got this email. So he is now going to push this document into the repository. So we have an Outlook plugin which helps him to do that. So now he needs to sign in before he gets the document into the repository. So here basically he has got in and signed in, so he can now go back to the Outlook and complete the work that he was supposed to. He has an option to also add the HTML aspect, like the mail aspect into the repository, but he's not. He's now only picking up the document and deciding to keep it in the right place. So this is again an optional. It could be a folder that you want to push the document into, or it can be an unfiled one as well. And this gets into the RFP profile. So he selects RFP profile. What is it? Like this is again a Web Center content concept on defining different kinds of documents with appropriate metadata can be associated then. So he has done his work. So he has selected the RFP profile and he has checked in. Now, because he has checked in as the RFP profile, the application now knows about it. So the application here, RFP app that has been created using Apex, is in single sign-on. So the sales guy is now logging into the RFP app. So this is the app. And like I said, it's in single sign-on and it uses IDCS here. So what does it mean? So this is the Web Center content UI that you are seeing. We are not going to get into Web Center content and take you through the whole screen flow. There are demos there. But the thing that I want to highlight is because of the single sign-on, now your REST API calls, your the UI screens like the viewer screen, when you are invoking it from Apex, you are able to directly see it as you see it in Web Center content. And the other interesting and important thing is the security also gets applied. So whatever Web Center content security you have defined at the document level, okay, will get automatically applied when you're calling these APIs as it is in single sign-on. So we are now back as a salesperson here in the RFP app. He goes to selecting the RFP app. So how this the RFP has come here? So the mail from where he has checked in, he has selected the RFP profile. So the app is now able to pick the new RFP that has come into the system, and this has now shown to the salesperson. So he has picked it, and he now decides to have a conversation. So he has picked the RFP. Now, instead of going to that document page by page, he can just have a chat. Now, if you see here in this interface, all he sees is not a lot of metadata information, just the chat. So it's in complete control. This is a viewer that comes from our Web Center content, and this viewer is pluggable. And when you are plugging it, you can decide what all information the user would see. So here he is now going to see only the chat interface. And so as a salesperson, he is asking what is the document about so that he feels that it will give him a quick information about it. But he sees that it gave some information, but not what he was looking for. So he wanted more of requirements. And so he then becomes more specific and he asks for what are the requirements here. So now the response becomes much more as expected. So he gets from the RFP only what is basically the requirements presented. So he doesn't have to go through, say, 10-15 pages of the RFP. In one shot, he gets the requirement. Now he gets an understanding about what the RFP is looking for. So he decides to now auto-populate the form. So he clicks on fetch attributes. So now in backend again, the Gen AI capabilities are in action where the document is read through, the attributes are extracted and populated over here. Now, there are some attributes which were not populated because of absence of this information. So he can go ahead and put his own, say, custom response there. He can, yeah, add so information which is missing here and complete the form. So one of the thing you might have realized that this is about RFP from a property enterprise, and so it has identified the real estate as the industry rightly. He's now going to change the date. Many times it happens the RFP has one date, but the customer then changes it because of various reasons, but the RFP has an old date. So he's now changing that. And now he is in the next step of submission, which is about creating or selecting the right section which needs to go into the response. Now here, what has happened is the system has gone through the document and tried to identify what is the expectation from the response. And this is very clearly, nicely put over here so that the sales guy also understand what will really make the RFP response complete. And so accordingly, he selects section. There are some items, if you see here, it talks about proven track record, strong references. Now, this will not go into a particular section, so he's going to select all other sections here. Whereas there is something about methodology, implementation information, so all will go in the technical section. In the finance section, will be surely covering about pricing. And that way, basically, all the sections are identified, and he plans for reaching out to other people, which is not defined as part of the process. So he's now into selecting the sections, and so he has got one by one all of these sections selected, and he is going to now submit the RFP. Now, this is not a standard response recommendation. Okay, this is come from the document itself. So the RFP response has been submitted, and now what is going to happen is there is a workflow which is getting triggered. Now, we have an inbuilt workflow in WebCenter content, which is what we have used here, and that gives certain advantage. I mean, there are various ways to do it, but yeah, here in this case, we have used our WebCenter content workflow. So again, now if you see in the when he selects the RFP, he sees that okay, these are the actions that people have to do. So there is action on technical guys, there is action on finance guy, and being a salesperson, he is able to view everyone's activities, so he can go and look at what is happening. So he's looking at the technical architecture section. He sees that it is still in workflow, it is not yet complete. This is still pending on the technical architect side. And this is basically the template that the architect person will be using to fill his response. So now we are going as technical architect and going to fill the RFP response as an architect. So let's see how we do it. So yeah, he is logged in as technical architect. He sees now a notification pending, action pending on him. He also sees what is the response requirement. So he has the immediate attention here on what is the response required, and that he has an activity to do. So here as well, he can now look at preview and see the template if he is happy with that template, or he wants to use something else. And in this case, if you see, he is able to see much more information. Like we can hide it. This basically was we wanted to show that the underlying workflow has been used, and that's where it is getting presented there. So what he does as an architect decides to reuse previous work. And here he is asking for what are the project details so that he is able to see previously submitted sections in the same space. So he's saying, okay, section documents. So here now semantic search is in action, and semantic search is used based on the query that he has put to find two documents. So there are two documents that have got shortlisted here, but he doesn't know which one to reuse, like which is the document more appropriate from where he would get things that he want to reuse. So he does the next thing, which is he asks for a question which is about implementation plan for this RFP. So he is asking what is the implementation plan for each of these RFP, so that he can decide which is more closer for his response. So again, he gets response from both of these documents. He is able to see the details on both the sides. There is one which is slightly shorter, but it has some good points, and then the other one is quite long, but he's interested to get the good thing from both the sides. So he decides to have something which can give a summary of both the documents. And that's where the third chat is becoming really useful, where he is basically getting the best of both the worlds. So he's trying to now ask the same question, but in a way where he is able to get response out of the combination. So he's asking for summarized project plan and implementation detail. Now here it it reads or it takes inputs of both the documents and helps formulating a response, which is a combination. And this looks perfect for him, so he decides to use this. He then asks also, like there is one more requirement in the expectation, it is about resources. So he asks about resources required, and that also kind of helps him to uh, get the response which he can reuse. So yeah, so he has now got two interesting information in one place without really opening these different documents. This is perfect. That is what he was looking for. So now he's going to take his the template document. He is now going to add things into it. So there is an architecture diagram that he has put. Now he is going to add these sections that he has got as input, which he feels is perfect. What the customer is also looking for. So he adds the relevant section headers and then completes his response. So he's adding now the resource side of the response. And yeah, so this makes the document now complete from his side. So he is happy that it got completed within no time. And now he is ready to upload it into the repository. So he's creating a version of it so that it can be easily uploaded and dragged onto the interface. So he is creating a version of it on his desktop, which he is going to drag and upload it into the repository. So he's going back and he's going to say, okay, upload the new revision. And so he is from the folder, he is now dragging and dropping the document. So, and then submit the details. So that completes his task on his section, and then he is marking it as complete. So yeah, okay. Before he marks it complete, he wants to verify whether everything has gone properly or not. So he is trying to look into the viewer. All the sections that he has added has gone in perfectly, and so this looks good. Now he can mark it as complete. So this ends his task, and this ends his task in real, I would say, short time. So he's very happy now. Finance guy or whoever is looking into the finance side of this project has to take advantage in a similar fashion. So now the finance guy comes into picture. He is going to log into the system, and he is also trying to take advantage of the underlying repository to see how he can be more effective. There are folks who join or new in the organization and they require help and they want to know, okay, what was done previously, and so that they are much faster in their response. So this kind of system really helps, and this kind of experience really makes it smoother and easier for the users. So again, now in case of finance section, he kind of does the same thing. He is now going into Gen AI section, and he'll try to look for project costing. So this is the, again, semantic search coming into action. And based on these keywords, he is again getting two responses here. Now he has the similar dilemma, which is the right document for him. And so here now, he goes with his query to find the right document from the place where he would be able to kind of reuse the content. So he gets a response from both these documents. So there is a conversation happening on each of the document, and there is a response that he is able to get. But again, the same thing, he gets one which is quite summarized, and the other is quite useful and detailed. So he decides what the technical guy had done. He decides to take best of both the worlds and decides to have a summarized way of putting things. And so he is going to basically ask for a summarized cost based on implementation details and yeah, resources. So this is basically helping the costing guy to quickly find relevant information that he feels is relevant and useful, that he now has, like, this is closer to what the RFP response would be, because now he is getting inputs from the technical details that were submitted by the technical section as well. So he can, based on that, decides and drags and uploads his version of the finance document or finance section. And so now we have both the sections ready. The finance section also is now ready. He can do the same. He can preview and see whether it has gone all well or not. And yeah, so this is some section that he has filled in as the response. And so here, like, again, the workflow section is available, but it could be hidden. All those information are not required. And he selects mark as complete. So his job is now over. He has completed the RFP section that was his responsibility. And now, if you see, only title section is remaining. The rest sections are shown as available. There is one other section which I'm going to talk shortly once we fill the title section, how the other section is getting filled. It is getting filled slightly differently. So now we are going as sales rep into the system. So the guys have completed their work. Now, as a sales guy, I have to complete my section, which is to put executive summary there. So the sales guy, or like, I am now uploading my title and summary part into the repository. It's a PDF. The others have uploaded Word. and it now goes into the repository. He does the same. Sales guy said, "This is perfect. I have completed my work." And now all the sections are available for him to go to the next step. But before he goes to the next step, he decides that he needs to fill some of the sections that were asked in the compliance or the expectations that the RFP response has. There are many ways that he can now get that information. He can use a share link. So imagine you have doing this with another vendor who is outside your organization. You are doing a joint response. Now you can create a public link and share it to the other vendor so that he can fill his part, and kind of you can collaborate and respond together. I mean, just a scenario here on how a public access as well can become really useful. And he is now able to download the document, and then work on it. So there is some information here that we have put, but yeah, this is some representative information about, say, profile of the organization. And but there could be other ways. So there could be legal team that you want to connect to, and so you might want to have the legal team directly edit the document. So you can give the Office 365 edit link. So here, how the Office 365 integration works is what it shows. So Web Center Content has this integration already in place. And so you have to just kind of get it interface onto the Apex app for the experience to be seamless. And yeah, so this is how the say legal section or someone with the profile information is going to update the document. And this gets into the repository directly. So while it is through Office 365, the document still resides in Web Center Content. And so it gets saved immediately, and yeah, the document is now updated in your app as well. So you can verify this by looking at the link. So how do you see the link? So there is this copy link option. So when you are sharing it to someone, you can use this option. So you can copy the link and give this link to, say, the legal team or someone from reference team, and they can populate your document. And yeah, so you can see the updated information is also seen there. So all sections are now done. Now his job is to kind of create a response document out of it. So he's now going to select this get response document option and then decide on which sections to be picked up for the response. And in this case, he wants to pick all the sections, and now he has to select the right sequence. So title goes first. Or he finance is not the second section. He wants to have the technical section to come second, and so he selects the technical section as the second section, and then the finance section, and then the all sections, and then says merge. So now in backend, we have this capability in Web Center Content called Folio. What it does is it merges all these documents into and makes a one document out of it. And now that becomes integrated or merged document, which the sales guy can use to respond and send it to the customer. So there is a response document here, which has got created, and yeah, he can view it as well to verify everything has gone perfectly well inside it. So he can browse through and see that, okay, all sections have come. There is an architecture section which was shared, is now in place. Then he can look at the pricing section is also there. And then there is the other section, which is the updated, is also now there. So all sections have come properly. Now he can download, or he can also do a public sharing and give it to the customer. So this is basically what we had to share on how seamlessly Gen AI has become part of this whole flow and helping every user to become more effective in his response, in his action. So I hope you have questions, and you would be asking questions. I am going to hand it over to Senthil now to get into the nitty-gritties of this app. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Manda. Okay. Yeah, so this is an app which we have seen till now. So I'll just quickly go through the little bit of technical side of it. So this is pretty much the architecture of this whole application and the integration points. So we have the RFP Apex application app, which has all the screens, different screens which we have gone through in the demo. And we have the WCC, and there are a few components in WCC which we are integrating in the Apex, like the profiles we see in the RFP, and we have the workflow and the security group and the folios, and we have the REST endpoints and the IDC services. And the recent one, which is in addition, is the GenAI REST services that is being used by the GenAI search, which is both semantic search and conversational AI search. So all these invocations of these REST services basically is integrated into the IDCS. So whatever the user privilege he has in WCC, the same gets applied when he logs in the Apex app also. So in the IDCS side, we have three different clients, one for the SAML for the WCC login, and one for the OAuth for the REST APIs, and one for the Apex application, the RFP application client ID. So the, like Mandar said, like as part of the marketplace provisioning, so the Apex and ORDS by default gets provisioned as part of the WCC database itself. So as soon as they create a WCC, you get the Apex workspacing also ready to be used. So this is in background. So how do we connect between these two? So the Apex side, we have three different options. One, we have the REST data source, which we use that catalog for it, and then we have the Apex web service procedure, and we have this embedded WCC pages. Basically, we have this preview page which you saw in, which has all the information. So these are the three endpoints are the thing where we are using from Apex app, and which is connecting to different endpoints in the WCC. One is a REST service, the other is the IDC service. IDC service is a native service for the WCC, so everything in WCC is exposed as a IDC service. And the Redwood UI, whatever you saw in the preview screen, that is part of the revamped UI which WCC is working on now. So between these two, we have different ways of sharing the user information and integration point. So one is the integrated SSO user. Basically, you get the user info of the logged in SSO, basically IDCS user. And for invoking the REST service and other thing, we have this OAuth enabled. So we have to get the OAuth token. So the path to that is generate a JWT assertion and then get the OAuth token, and then use this OAuth bearer token to invoke the REST services. There are other things also, like this SSO user by default will have a limited privilege, like a guest user and only the specific profile. But for a few features like folios, we that is not enough. So we have an integration user who can create the ID, folios, which this logged in user might not have privilege, but once it is created, it will be created under his user for the final PDF, which is the response document, so that he will have user. But for the folio, we need a different kind of privilege, contributor privilege. So for that, we use that Apex Web Credential as a generic integration user. The third session sharing is based on the browser session and cookies. Like since Apex and IDs, the WCC is integrated, so the preview page when you open, it does not for ask for login or anything, because the same session user is being used. And accordingly, if you see in the demo also, you can see the workflow properties for the logged in user. So if the user does not have the item assigned to him, the content assigned to him, he will not see the workflow options, the approve and reject options. So this is how we connect both the systems. Quickly a sample, like for the REST data source, we have this library page which has a card layout. I'll go through these pages individually now, but anyway, just a quick summary. And for the Apex web service, REST service, we use that upload file for uploading the document. So we have multi-part file which we uploaded. And then for the IDC service, which is like a SOAP service. So there are different ways we are connecting to the WCC in different methods. We are using REST service, we are using SOAP, we are using browser sessions, we are using the catalog. So all these things are again as part of this application. So let me just quickly go to this application. So we have this is our workspace and the application. So you have these different pages for each of those things. And so as far as the integration concerned, we have this authentication scheme. So where we have this IDCS authentication configured for the Apex app. And again, we have the REST data source, which is for the library page. So this is the one which invokes a sample items API, a REST API, and then it gets a result. So this result is again, it will go to the library page. So let's go to the library page. So here you can see the components which are being used, and it is in the filter. We have all these filters which is part of that. So if you go there, here you can see this is the library page card we have, and we use this REST data source for the showing up all the items. So if you want me to quickly show that, So this is the library page. So you can see all the items. So this is all coming from the REST data source response here. So again, then we have this preview page where we have this embedded WCC page, right? So let me go to the preview page. So here you can see that this is the content type, which is a URL, and this is where we embed this URL of the WCC. So we have this Redbit UI viewer. So we don't have to add any login session or any other parameters because it is already like SSO integrated, and we just invoke the viewer and so that it can be accessed directly, and all the viewer functionalities are available when the viewer loads in. Then once we have this for uploading the document, so which is like creating a new response request. So let me go there. So here we use this upload, file upload component here. So if you can, let me just quickly show. So in this create new RFP region, we have this upload document. So basically this is a place where you can go and upload any of the documents. If at all, if there is no select RFP, there is two options for, let me just speak. So this is a page. So there are two options here. Either you can select the RFP, which we saw in the demo. Currently there is nothing because I already used it. And there is one more option for uploading a document freshly from this app also. So for this, we use this file upload component. And once we have this file uploaded, we then again go and upload it as part of the WCC. That again, we are using the REST API endpoint for the WCC. And this is where we have this, basically we get the CLOB content from the uploaded file, and then we use the multi-part service to upload both the metadata as well as the file, actual physical file. So this again, we are using the Apex web service make request call to get that. And this, the one additional thing is here we are using the logged in app user. Basically, we have a procedure which generates a JWT accession token, and from that it will get the OAuth token as well. So this OAuth token will get stored here, and that is what is being used for as a bearer token for the authorization service. So this way it will go, or it will get uploaded as the user who has logged into the Apex application. Like if it is a sales rep, it will be sales rep. If it is a technical architect, it will be a technical architect. So that way we keep the user in proper way. So that is with the respect to this thing. So then we have this RFP job, like when Mandar showed the demo, so he was able to fetch the details of the RFP. Basically, when you click on the button, right, it shows the details. So that we have another IDC, basically service in the WCC, which gets invoked. So this is like a prompt which we send it as part of the AA service. So this is like AA process document. So we send that document along with this prompt so that it will return in these values. So this is what it gets populated when you see in that. So the RFP title, the client name. So if it is present in any of these things, it will populate those values. If it is not present, it will come null. So this is the value which we are parsing it, and then we are showing appending it to the existing text field. And similarly for the recommendation also, so we use the same thing, but the payload which we pass, the prompt template we pass is a different template, so that now it will return, it will not return the RFP details, it will return the recommendation details. So this will be the way, and it will, these are the prompts which you use to again call the same AI process document, because we are working on the same RFP document, and then we get a different response for this, so that it will give the recommended sections. So this is with respect to how we upload the RFP and other things. So next we'll check about now how do we use the GenAI search. So like Mandar mentioned, it is GenAI search has two things. One is a semantic search and the other one is the conversational search. So the difference between these two is like the semantic search we have, let me just quickly. So we have this filter. So this is the semantic search we call API we use. So here we use the same semantic search results, but this is like we just pass the parameters and then get the filter values, and then it is like one time on full all the documents, and then it retrieves the document. But the other part of this is like doing the conversational search, right? So the conversational search is again it is like a continuous conversation. So what we do is you create a conversation. So basically go and create a new conversation for this. Okay. So, and for the next all chats or all the questions, we use this conversation ID, whatever we get as a response, as a input. So like the next time when we ask any questions, so we use that as a conversation ID. So that way it looks like more of a conversation, like a continuous conversation from the previous prompt rather than like a disjoint Google searches. So that is the advantage of doing this. So though we have the same API, but once we pass the conversation ID, it sets the context like what all the history of the conversation which has gone, and then it retrieves the response accordingly. Then we have this AI results. So basically the one which combines all the chat, basically all the response from all the documents. So that again we have this called the conversation API, but with when so till now the semantic search is on individual documents, but when this is called, it will go in the conversation ID and it will refer to all the documents which was a result of the previous semantic search. So that way it gets the detail of everything. Finally, I'll just quickly show you on the folio part. So because that is like invoking that has two aspect for it. So because folios is a little tricky one in this, so we have this contributor access and other stuff. So what we have for folio is like we have this merge button. So as soon as the merge button is pressed, so we have this first thing is a fetch folio. So basically it is going to create a folio and fetch the document. So one tricky thing is this folio is a native IDC service. So the REST service call will not work. So we have to get the J session ID and then you send that call. And then subsequently, once you have that folio information, so that's when we get that SOAP. So now this SOAP information is to like create the envelope and then send it as part of the request. And this is again using the integration user, which is part of the Apex Web credentials. So this way it creates that, and then once that is created, so subsequent upload to the response will be as a individual the logged in user. So that way the response is saved under the logged in user, not as the integration user. So this is the entire flow of the application and the part. So I just try to cover various other parts which you have used in the Apex and how it is integrated to the Web Center content. So I think that should be done for me. Yeah,
Yes,
over to you, Anand. Thank
maybe
you.
can you just do Google on and show Oracle Live Lab so that while the Gen AI capabilities may not be there, but at least a lot of things on how the APIs are getting called and a lot of that will be covered. So if can you just show that, or maybe you can hand it over to me, I'll show.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, so there was a lot of information that Senthil has given, and maybe it is too short a time for you to grasp everything. So I thought I'll give you a reference here. So this is an earlier version of the same app that we showed today, but it doesn't use Gen AI. But it has all of the other things like SSO in place, the so much of the library thing that Senthil showed previously, the upload of documents, all of it is going to be here. So you can actually go into this and really decide, and you can decide to run it in your tenancy or on this sandbox and get an idea of how Web Center and Apex can work together. We are going to update this with this new capability, with this new app that we have added, but it might take a little bit of time. So till that time, you can surely refer to this one. And one more update or in one more information, slightly futuristic, is about agents. So the next thing that you will see is usage of agents so that you can use agents for defining and deciding on your prompts, and then use the agent as a service inside your app like this. So instead of putting prompts inside your Apex app that you are building, you can use agent to get agent service as the right way to get your information in context of the experience. So yeah, these were two things I wanted to update on. So any questions? There is one question. We initially tried using free SSL certificate, but it failed due to an SSL certificate mismatch, resulting in an HTTP request error. Is there a way to resolve it? So at the time of implementation, our DB version is 23i. We connected with product team. They said before March 2025, W supports only 19C. Oh, okay. So see, Web Center Content 14.12 release now supports 23 AI. I believe you have tried to do this with 12C version, 12.14 version, and it was not supporting 23 AI. So I would recommend you to do again whatever you are doing with 23 AI to get some of these things. Okay. Yeah, thanks. Any more questions? We are slightly above our planned time. We are happy to stay here if there are questions. Please give your feedback on how the session was and especially the integration that you have seen. Let us know if you want something different. We are happy to uh, plan something as well. So over to you, Apurva.
Well, thank you so much for such an interesting session, and thank you to you and your team, like Mandar, Senthil, and Parikshit, for coming us and delivering the session of Web Center content. It was really an interesting session, I would say, because we would get to know a lot of things like what that Web Center provides and like how we can leverage it with Apex, and especially the demo part. I think that is the highlight of this office hours. Like our participant are also very much excited to see that how we can really make it. So thank you so much again for that. And most of the questions are answered in that Q&A by the panel members. So I would like to thank each of the panel members for answering the questions as well. So now before we wind up the session, we have few resources that I would like to share with our community members. The first is that learning and training certification and other resources. So you are new to Oracle Apex, so I would suggest you to just opt for Apex Foundation training. Here you will learn the basics of Oracle Apex and how you can build a foundation application and basically how you can start with Oracle Apex. So that Apex Foundation training will definitely help you in that. So you can just go to apex.oracle.com/go/trainings. There you can get more insights about that. And also, we have a dedicated learning path for Apex Developer Professional. So there we are having two courses. One is professional and one is AI. So this professional learning path help you to understand Oracle Apex from soup to nuts. And also this professional path has been updated with Apex 24.2 new features and also the workflow feature as well. You can learn that as well, and also you can learn how to build a mobile friendly application with Oracle Apex. And this AI course that is dedicated for the Apex with AI, you will learn how to build an AI powered application with Oracle Apex, and also you will learn how to integrate OCI AI services with Oracle Apex as well. And this Apex Developer Professional Learning Path, once you complete it, you can just opt for the certification, that is Oracle Apex Cloud Developer Professional Certification. So this is a prerequisite for you, that developer professional path, so to attempt this certification. So now what is the advantage of doing the certification? The very first thing is that you can enhance your expertise in Oracle Apex, and also you can showcase your skill to the wider audience, because once you complete the certification you will get a badge which you can show it to the LinkedIn and all the social media. And if you are posting it on LinkedIn, I request you to please use this hashtag so that it can reach to the wider audience. And also the main advantage of the certifications and all is that once you do it and if you can show it, it will help us to add a value in your resume and also help you to get newer opportunities in your career as well. So I request you to please go through these trainings and try to attempt this certification as well. And now this page is dedicated for all the Apex enthusiasts in our community. So if you think that there is something we can include in our Apex platform, or if you think that the existing features need some enhancement, so please go ahead, go to apex.oracle.com/go/ideas and share your ideas with us. We would really love to hear from you. And again, if you are working with Oracle Apex and if you think you got stuck and you need our help, and as you have seen our office hours today, and you think that you have certain things interesting which you want to show to the community, so please reach out to us at this given mail ID. I request my panel members to please post this mail ID to the chat so that everyone can reach out to us. So if you have any ideas like we can improve in our office session or something, anything which you want to share with us, so please feel free to write to us. And what if you have missed any of the office session, or if you want to replay this office session as well, so we record each of our office sessions and you can just get it here in our YouTube playlist, that is apex.oracle.com/go/playlist/jpac. There you will get all the previous office hour sessions as well, and today's session as well. It will be published there. So all right, we are done for today, and I really thank each one of you for having a sincere participation. So we'll meet you in the next office hour session as well. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.